On Sunday, the 19th of April 2026, the Ekurhuleni city manager Kahiso Michael Lerutla was arrested at OR Tambo International Airport. He appeared in Boksburg Magistrates Court on the 20th of April alongside suspended Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department Deputy Chief Julius Mkhwanazi. Both face charges of fraud, corruption, and defeating the ends of justice. Lerutla, who served as the Metro's Group CFO from 2019 before being appointed city manager in 2025, was arrested by the SAPS Madlanga Commission task team. The Madlanga Commission of Inquiry has been examining municipal misconduct, including serious allegations of police abuse and related irregularities in Ekurhuleni. The core charges stem from a 2019 incident in which Lerutla was allegedly arrested for speeding, but allegedly arranged for someone to impersonate him in court. Mkhwanazi is accused of assisting in the deception and allegedly being paid for it. Both are said to have acted in common purpose. The case was postponed to the 23rd April 2026 for a formal bail hearing, and both men remained in custody as of this recording. The broader context is that ongoing probes into Ekurhuleni's tender irregularities include allegations of kickbacks of up to 15% from consulting firms and links to figures like alleged tender beneficiary Vusumuzi Cat 9 Lives Matlala. The SIU and Madlanga Commission have demonstrated sustained interest in the municipality's corruption issues. The arrests also revived older Ekurhuleni scandals, including past tender fraud convictions involving officials and businessmen, among them imprisonments in 2022 for tender fraud and money laundering. Then came the social media firestorm. Within hours of the arrest, viral posts claimed Lerutla had been a blesser, a wealthy man funding the lifestyles of multiple women. Specifically, allegations pointed to Cyan Boujee, whose bank accounts were reportedly frozen shortly before the arrest according to unverified viral claims, as well as Sithelo Shozi and MaWhoo.
My accounts are frozen. Number one. My accounts are so frozen. I'm so confused why my accounts are frozen. Like, all my accounts are frozen. And they don't have to be questioning me about the amount of money I get and where I get it from.
Posts claimed Lerutla funded houses, cars, and trips using public money. Cyan briefly deactivated her Instagram and TikTok accounts before reactivating them and publicly distancing herself, stating in stories, "Leave me out of it." These remain allegations and social media speculation at this stage. No official charges have been filed against any of the women. No court has linked any specific assets of the named influencers to Lerutla or to the municipal fund. The Special Investigating Unit has reportedly received public complaints urging asset probes. However, the timing of the arrest and Lerutla's senior role overseeing municipal finances have fueled legitimate public questions about whether taxpayer money meant for services in Ekurhuleni indirectly benefited private individuals through corruption. As with all accused, Lerutla, Mkhwanazi, and anyone else named in speculation, the presumption of innocence applies fully until a court determines otherwise. Neither Ekurhuleni nor Eskom are isolated cases. These stories tap into a recurring and deeply damaging South African narrative. Corrupt tenders involving state entities and municipalities allegedly enriching a small network of officials, businessmen, and their associates, while ordinary citizens face load shedding, deteriorating service delivery, and rising taxes.
Let's talk about the uncomfortable reality. The baddie you aspire to be, the soft life, the designer, the Dubai trips, the champagne aesthetic. Someone is paying for that, and it's really clean money. See, proximity is strategic. These women don't just date men, they position themselves in ecosystems of power. Entrepreneurs, politically connected businessmen, and men whose wealth do not come from innovation but from access to contracts, access to signatures, access to state money. And once you understand that, everything starts to make sense. Now, the trips are funded by inflated invoices. The bags are paid for by half-built schools, and the lifestyle is subsidized by communities that will never see the services that are delivered on paper. And make no mistake, this isn't about shaming women. It's about understanding the system, because in South Africa, corruption doesn't just sit in boardrooms and municipalities. It spills into lifestyle culture, and it is deemed as aspirational. It gets filtered, edited, and posted. And suddenly, the very people being robbed are admiring the aesthetic of the robbery. That's the uncomfortable truth. Soft life isn't always soft. Sometimes it's built on very hard consequences for everyone else.
South Africa's public procurement system, worth hundreds of billions of rands annually, has long been identified as the primary vehicle for corruption. The Zondo Commission exposed systemic state capture at the highest level. More recent inquiries, including Madlanga, continue to uncover fresh irregularities. The SIU has been active across sectors, from PPE procurement during the pandemic to infrastructure and energy. Key patterns emerge repeatedly. Procurement abuse through splitting orders and massive markups to evade oversight thresholds, laundering vehicles using trusts, family members, or associated entities to hold assets at arm's length from the principal accused. And the now familiar social media angle, where influencers become the visible symbols of allegedly stolen wealth. Deputy Public Protector reports and audits have reportedly flagged inflated contracts, fronting, and politically collected beneficiaries. When officials in positions like city manager, group CFO, or procurement approver allegedly abuse their authority, the diverted money doesn't vanish. It buys Lamborghinis, it buys penthouses, it funds the lifestyle content that racks up millions of views, with the ironic caption, "Eskom must fix the lights." This is the question dominating the online conversation, and it deserves a factual legal answer. Musician Anati captured the public mood when he went viral with the sentiment that the country heals when baddies turn state witness. But what does the law actually say? South Africa's Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act, PRECCA 12 of 2004, criminalizes both the giving and receiving of gratification in exchange for improper influence. A private person who knowingly accepts a benefit derived from a public official's corrupt act can themselves be guilty of corruption. Additionally, the Prevention of Organized Crime Act, POCA, allows the state to seize assets that are proven on a balance of probabilities to be proceeds of unlawful activity. Critically, this can happen without the recipient being convicted of a crime. The preservation order against Siyabonga's 76.5 million rand empire is a direct example of POCA in action. In practice, the legal reality is more nuanced. Mere romantic involvement or receiving gifts from a partner is not by itself illegal. But if evidence demonstrates that a person knew or reasonably should have known that funds came from corrupt tenders or procurement fraud and they actively benefited, criminal charges become possible. Investigations in such cases examine bank records, property transfer documents, and private communications. For the named influencers, public calls for SIU and Hawks probes into their assets are not legally unreasonable if reasonable suspicion exists. Preservation orders can be sought and granted, as in the Nkosi case, while investigations continue. But blanket imprisonment without evidence would be unjust. Selective prosecution without evidence would be equally unjust. What upholds the rule of law is prosecution where evidence exists and restraint where it does not. The 10-state witness angle is also legally grounded. In complex corruption networks, prosecutors routinely offer witnesses indemnity or reduced charges in exchange for testimony that dismantles the broader scheme. If any of the individuals named in the online speculation have direct knowledge of how funds moved from procurement fraud into personal enrichment, cooperation with investigators could be both legally beneficial to them and critical to the state recovering public money. Ekurhuleni has faced repeated scrutiny for billing irregularities and alleged systemic graft. The current arrests are intensifying demands for a deeper, broader inquiry, which includes the possibility of a full commission of inquiry into the municipality's finances. The SIU's focus is evidence-based recovery. Social media's focus is visible access. The law sits between the two. Follow the money, apply the standard of proof, and let the evidence lead wherever it goes. Corruption doesn't just steal money. It steals dignity, services, and trust. Every 50,000 relay switch invoiced at 50,000 rands instead of 450 rands is a hospital that doesn't get built. Every kickback on a consulting contract is a pothole that never gets fixed. Every diverted municipal rand is a family sitting in the dark.
And if corruption doesn't upset you because you think it has nothing to do with you, let me put it to you like this. If this man is either making or buying a single relay unit for 150 South African rand and is reselling it to Eskom for 50,000 South African rand, who do you think is paying that difference? Spoiler alert, it's you, chum. Leo difference, Leo markup, not 50%, not 100%, not 200%, not 1000%. Leo markup, 33,233% is being paid by you. So no matter how upset you think you are, you need to be more upset.
Whether officials, businessmen, or their alleged beneficiaries, anyone who knowingly participates in or profits from the looting of public funds should face the full weight of the law. And the weight should be equal, regardless of who holds the title or who holds the Louis Vuitton bag. As the Lerutla case unfolds in court, as the Nkosi asset freeze works through the special tribunal, and as investigations continue, South Africans deserve complete transparency. The SIU, the Hawks, the NPA, and the courts must follow the evidence wherever it leads, not stop at the officials in the headlines. These cases are still developing. SIU actions focus on evidence-based recovery, not social media speculation. Outcomes depend on court processes, with the presumption of innocence applying to every accused until proven otherwise. For the latest Monitor Official Special Investigation Unit and NPA updates as investigations evolve. True accountability means no one is above the law and no one is beneath it. What do you think? Should beneficiaries be investigated as vigorously as the officials? Should baddies tend to state witness? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and remember, facts over rumors. Subscribe for more in-depth South African accountability stories.